This Sunday. Every Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands for the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes Pit Pass. Sunday!
Rock and roll on WPLJ. I'm Carol Miller with Led Zeppelin.
All right, and that was a little bit of a blast from the past. You have not tuned into WPLJ. You've tuned into 90.3 WHPC with Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only fully vetted automotive talk show with your hosts, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. How are you, Chris?
Doing well, Ray. I actually met Carol Miller, or I like the way she used to say it. She used to go Carol Miller.
Uh-huh.
I met wonderful person. This was many years ago when I was just a little baby DJ.
Right, right.
Asking her all kinds of questions like, why get into this business? But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Was a lot of fun in those old radio days.
She obviously gave you information you didn't use.
Of course.
Right?
You have no talent, kid. Leave. She said, yes, we met and we chatted. She said, get out of the way.
Okay, I got a show to do. Get out of here, kid. You bother me.
No, she was very nice.
That's nice.
But yeah, this is a great day, Ray. This is one of those top-down weather days, like John always says, where we certainly have to all wear something flimsy. This is one of those mid-August days that I just truly love. I love this type of weather. You know, cool breezes, warm sun. Can't get any better than this. So I'm leaving right now to go put the top down. See ya. So
I'll tell you, last night, I mean, it was warm yesterday, but last night was actually cool.
It was.
I was outside about 11, and it had a coolness to it, and I really was enjoying that. I thought it was cool.
We had all the windows open until the skunk showed up.
Oh, boy.
And then we had all the windows closed.
That'll do it every time.
Don't know what happened. Don't know what spooked them. We're like, oh, boy.
Right.
Close the windows. It'll pass. Smells like, bad coffee, but
yeah,
it'll pass. But yeah, that was the high point of the week, actually.
Okay.
It was one of those type of weeks that just flew by. Automotively, I was lucky if I actually started a car this week.
Well, our phone system started, so let's take advantage, and we'll
Good. Let's save this show
and say hi, caller. You're on the Motor Mouths.
Well, the show started, and the phone system started, so that's 2 ups.
And John's phone is actually working. Awesome. How are you, John?
I'm doing good. My ears were ringing.
I'm sure they were. Come on, is this wearing something flimsy weather or what?
Oh my God. Talk about going topless. Today's the day.
You got it. Everybody should.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I was literally. I stepped outside just before the show. I'm like, I got to get the old pool table out and put the top down and just drive around and look for trouble. So, but yeah,
an outdoor studio.
What was that?
You got to build an outdoor studio.
An outdoor studio. That would be fine.
That's kind of like they call it doing a remote, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Talking to the passerbys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a bad idea. Sure. We'll have to do a mobile studio, John. We'll get like a station wagon or something with a transmitter in the back of it, and we'll just drive around with a big fat antenna sticking up on the roof.
Yeah,
that'll work.
You got to do. Who's the guy that converted the bus? That's where you need to build a studio with all the bells and whistles.
Ken Kesey?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Ken
Couldn't think of it right. But
I don't know who that is, but okay.
Look him up.
Okay. I mean, I knew a couple of guys that built a radio station in a ship
Yeah,
many
that was
years ago.
There was a movie made about that, the UFO
Yeah.
offshore pirate radio ship. That was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I knew some of those guys, and they were a lot of fun to hang out with, that's for sure, and very innovative.
Yeah.
I think they did radio better than some professional radio people, if you ask me personally.
Without a doubt.
So yeah,
or an eye patch.
you're right.
Do what you got to do, right?
Right. So how's the Corvette, John? Any new
good.
trials and tribulations? Anything going on? What's
Status quo, which I'm knocking wood.
good?
All the stuff I read about, and not to revisit, it's just getting hard to find parts.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely everywhere. It's been coming back to me through the weeks. People are complaining, hey, I can't find an oil filter for my car. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Because they've been drying up with Fram, being this. I don't know if that's going to come back or not, but it definitely pays to stock up on some replacement parts when and where you can find them. We've been talking about that for weeks, if not months now, and it's not going to get any better. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. Hopefully it will get better, but so far it's not. We're in a bad way. But
Like, the only thing that frightens me with that is it may get better, but not good.
Okay.
And that said, somewhere in China they're going to go, yep, there's a demand for these.
Well,
and it's sort of like carburetors. Yeah, you can buy, and again, I don't do carburetors on anything with, that drives on the street, mostly tractors and, lawn equipment. But there's something to be said for buying like an OEM, and they're 5 times the price.
Yeah.
But you take it out, you put it in, and it starts up on the first or second pole.
I know a few people closely who have bought Chinese carburetors, well, for small equipment and for their cars. And it seemed like they had a lot better experience with the small equipment ones than the ones for the cars. And,
right.
And I actually saw a couple of these and worked on them. And I recommend to people, if you need something now, for a car, try and find a good old core, like the piles of junk that I have at home. Those old cores, they're getting to be invaluable because you have an original piece that you just have to put some rebuild parts in, and you go to a place like Mike's Carbs and get some quality rebuild components, and away you go. So I think that's the way to do it. But people a lot of times they follow their wallets. They don't follow their hearts. They go for the cheap, which I'm going to tell you a story about that in a little bit, John. I'm going to tell a story about something I just bought and I paid 10 times less than what another place had. And, it wasn't really to save the money. It was just because I didn't think it was worth the inflated cost. So, got to make those decisions as you go.
It's
very
just
true.
Dicey, when you order something and put it in and it doesn't work right, once there's fuel in it, you can't send it back.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of frown it out, but you can, you can take it and flush it. You can flush it with, I'd flush it with alcohol first, or anything really, brake cleaner, whatever you want to use. You can get most of that gas out and then blow it out and
let it dry.
Yeah, dry it out. So you could do that. That's, I don't know. So I would stay away from the Chinese carburetors for cars, and again try to find a good old core, just like I would do with an alternator or starter. I mean, a lot of guys go for the aftermarket. I see them on a lot of cars. They call them little pineapple alternators. Now, a lot of the Japanese stuff is very high quality. The Nippon Denso, Well, Denso was American, but Nippon Denso was Japanese.
Right.
Those
NGK.
alternators, they came on OEM equipment on Japanese cars. Those are very good. But everybody's solution these days is I just read this on I think it was on Facebook yesterday. A guy put a picture up of his volt gauge in his Trans Am, and it was at like 12 and a half volts. He says, "Yeah, this is what I got when I start my car. What do you think the problem is?" So I said, "All right, I'll bite." And I said, "Well," and he said, "Yeah, new battery, cables are good, blah blah blah." I said, "Yeah, it's probably your voltage regulator. You're probably not charging. Do a voltage check, and then." I said the regulator is found in the back plate underneath the brush holder. I would bring it in and get it rebuilt.
Right. It's contained in the alternator on that car.
It is. It's internal. So, but I read a lot of the other comments, and guys are like, just go get a one wire and put it on. You don't have to worry about none of the other wires. It makes it easy. Yes, it is an easy thing to do, but the one wires aren't all what they're cracked up to be. A lot of them don't charge well at an idle at all. It's almost like a generator. Some of them are very poor.
Yeah.
You need
my Chrysler's like that. Yeah, it does.
I just watched a video about Chrysler. A guy just did a video about Chrysler charging systems. Because I'll have to send it to you. And he said,
"Yeah, they're terrible."
I knew that at night my lights were kind of yellow, and the amp gauge was charging. He says, and then as soon as I'd rev it up, I'd see the lights. He goes, "That's how I knew my charging system was working."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Turn on a signal light in the Chrysler product. You'll see the alternator gauge just flip like a windshield wiper. It flips back and forth.
That's an image.
Every time the lights blink.
So I'm not a fan of the one-wire alternators. There are some good ones out there. I don't even know how to tell you how to know which one is good and which one isn't. I guess it's from maybe a major company. If you went to like Electric Limited or Automotive Wiring, they probably have the better ones. But I say, hey, it's not that hard to deal with. It's a field, a volt, a field, and a sense wire. It's not a big deal to make an alternator work. So
I got a great
John.
idea. Let's make a parts Ouija board.
Yeah, like the Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you though, I think, like you say, Ray, just to move that forward, I think rebuilders are probably going to see a whole new surge of business because of people taking their old alternators and not swapping them out for a Japanese model, bringing the old alternator into a rebuilder, having them rebuild their original alternator and then hand it back to them, so they know that they have a product they can. An item they can trust.
Yes, but the problem I see around here even is there's rebuilders are closing up. There's not as many rebuilders as there used to be.
Right.
And that's a big problem. So if you don't have a guy who can rebuild it, unless you know how to do it yourself, now you have a problem. Now you're sending it out somewhere. So yeah, that's the problem. Small businesses, are aging out and rightfully so. A lot of that stuff has become just repair by replacement. Guys are just, happy to buy a new alternator instead of having it rebuilt.
Right. Don't throw away the old one, though.
And I don't know what their issue is. There's a rebuilder that is local. He's in Amityville. I have to visit him because I want to have him run a couple alternators up for me on his test bench before I sell them. Mm-hmm. And I want to see if he's having a problem with parts availability on his end.
Yeah, great idea.
With stators, rotors, obviously, brushes and bushing, stuff like that. I'll find out when I go there. So there you go, John. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, right. I don't disagree with anything you said. I mean,
today
you used to be able to get your radiator.
Another one. All the radiator shops are gone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Try getting your shoes repaired.
No, and where the guys go, they buy. Yeah, I bought that Chinese aluminum radiator. And I've seen firsthand the problems that guys have with those Chinese aluminum radiators.
Yep.
Sometimes they get a good one and it's okay. Other times, not so much.
Yeah. I lucked out with a good one on the Pathfinder when I bought one many, many years ago. I did luck out with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you could buy a stock OEM radiator and blow the dust off it, I don't care what it costs at this point. I'd probably lean to that because it's going to last you till you're dead.
Right. Well, the whole thing is, too, when we had Bill Carberry on the show many years ago, we've always addressed this. It's what the hobby kind of gravitates to, and everybody went to aluminum being better. Hey, it looks nicer in the car, but aluminum is better. It's lighter. It's And then Bill dispelled the myth right here. That, he verified what I had said. Copper is actually a better conductor of heat than aluminum is.
Yeah.
And that's why aluminum wiring in houses, they stopped using that because, there was problems. So copper is still the best way to go. Not that aluminum radiators can't work well, they can. But copper and brass, best. They are heavier, but they dissipate heat much better.
I always thought that an
not to go
aluminum.
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the feed to most homes that were built after 1960 that comes off the pole, it's not copper.
Well, in certain areas, yeah. I know. Yeah, in certain areas.
No, in every area, Nassau, Suffolk, I don't know, well, Queens is a different animal, but
we had a copper feed at the auto electric shop, the rebuilding shop I worked on and one summer I remember there was a Good Rat song on the radio. We're all there working, doing our thing, and all of a sudden we heard look back at the breaker panel and sparks and fire coming out of it. And what happens, the aluminum does conduct. The problem is, as the terminals loosen from vibration, just vibration having 60 hertz go through it, they loosen up. And then you get a jiggling, resistance goes up, and that's how you have trouble. So with the aluminum lugs, you really need to go in there periodically and just retighten them. But we did have a fire in the shop because of that. And yeah.
I just had my service upgraded on the house 2-3 years ago. I don't have copper wire coming off the street.
I got copper on mine. I got a 3-phase. I got copper coming right in, 3-phase copper coming right. I watched the guy do it, and I see it. It's,
Yeah, but when was the house built?
Well, my house was built before that, but still, I had a new feed put in when I changed my box, changed the service, did all of that, and then they did run copper, without a doubt.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yes, without a doubt. Yeah, I would have insisted on it if they didn't, but yeah.
So Motormouth Radio is now the home and garden show.
Yeah.
The home electrical show.
All right, John. So I got to talk about brake bleeding. So let me get going. Let me get on to this. And
All right, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
And don't anybody follow them home topless.
No. I'll be on the lookout. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Later.
All right. So long.
No, just talking about radiators for 1 second, I always felt that the aluminum radiators were beneficial because they had more cores than some of the copper radiators that I had. The copper radiator I pulled out of the Chrysler, which was original, it was literally one core. Like if you flipped it over, you looked at the top and the bottom of the radiator, you saw half of it wasn't doing anything.
I've never seen one. 2 is the smallest I've ever seen.
Well, maybe it was 2.
Yeah.
It could have been 2 because it literally there was more than half of the
tank not used.
Tanks not used.
That's
exactly.
a 2-core. And that's what they used in most cars. Anything that wasn't super high performance.
Right.
So
I put a 4-core copper in from Bill Carberry. I put a 4-core copper in there, and so far I would love to put a temperature gauge in the car itself. I just don't have I'm looking at where to put it on the dash, and I just cannot stand when you mount it at the bottom of the dash like any hot rodder would do. Yeah. I'm like, good darn it.
You could put it on the A-pillar.
Oh yeah, so it looked like a fox body Mustang.
I mean, if you really want to have the gauge, which is good to have, you do have to concede to put it somewhere.
And the funny thing is, I'll even concede, I'll put it on the dash, but I want something square or rectangular.
Oh, wow.
Forget about it.
I haven't seen anything like that, no.
No, not even digital. I mean, digital for the home, but that's really about it. And it's so, I'm so like.
Here you go. Solve your carburetor and your temperature problems with one fell swoop.
Sell the car.
No. Put a Holly Sniper on it and an aluminum radiator, and then you'll get the digital display that the Sniper comes with that you can put wherever you want. You can stick it in the glove box. You don't have to, and it'll give you your temperature readout because it monitors all of that.
Right. That'll be another thing I'll hate about that car.
But it'll run great. It'll have fuel injection and great cooling. So, like I said, 2-row radiators with a common, unless it was a high performance car. Right. And then I always had my 2 or 3-core radiators converted to 4-core or 4-row. And now the hot thing is the dual pass radiator. which is really, really cool. And it only has to be a 2-row, and it outperforms a 4-row. It actually passes the fluid one way, and then it passes it back again.
Oh, wow.
It sits in the radiator longer, and they claim, and I believe, that it definitely, the longer the fluid's in the radiator, and that's why guys would say, oh, take the thermostat out. No, now you're sending the fluid through the system faster, jamming it through the radiator back into the car. It's not cooled yet.
It's still hot. You're putting hot water right back into the engine.
And that's the job of the radiator, to take that hot engine water, cool it, and send it back into the engine.
Right.
So guys, the old wives' tale of taking the thermostat out was faulty because of that. So the same thing with this dual pass radiator. Now the fluid stays in the radiator twice as long. They are expensive. They're definitely expensive. It's the core is totally different. Now I was out, with Kevin, Kilowatt Kevin, and his GTO. He recently, well, maybe about a year ago, had Bill Carberry convert his GTO radiator to a 4-core.
Okay.
And he still has his standard cooling fan with a clutch type fan on it. We drive in that car now, it's at 160, and it doesn't move. It just is rock solid at 160.
I believe it.
So,
my car runs very hot in this weather. I know it does. And I'm curious to know how hot it is, but it is not, you can't touch it. You can't touch the radiator. You can't touch the engine. Maybe you can touch the valve cover, or that's about it. But it runs hot.
Use a point and shoot temperature gun and shoot the radiator. See what that is. Hit the thermostat neck, and and then hit the water pump. Yeah, you'll get readings.
Yeah, that may be the next tool I purchase.
I mean, you're not overheating, so it's not like you're not boiling, so that's okay.
No, but it's hot. I would say it's just by my limited knowledge, I would say it's running the 220, anywhere from 200 to 220.
Well, that's the ragged edge of being too hot, because
that's what I mean.
But I don't know. You have to test it and see.
Yeah, it's just a hot running car, and I know when I used to take it out in January, it would run great.
Right.
It would be a perfect temperature, but when it gets warm like this, it's a little touch and go. So that's why I was thinking about a temperature gauge, but where to mount it is not my idea of fun. Like, I'm even thinking about hinging it, like hinging it up, and then drop it down when I need to see it, and then hinge it back up again so it disappears.
Let's hit the phone hinge and see what we got going on. Hello, caller. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Tony.
Hey, Tony. How are you?
Hey, Tony.
Hey, what's going on, bud? So I'm listening like I always do, and I'm listening to the conversation, and I had to chime in because I'm literally in my Chevelle. It's not too hot, but I'm riding around with the AC on, sitting at 160 with this big block.
Nice.
And a couple of tricks that I did, the last one I did it with, Ray, was with John's car, John's GTO.
Yeah.
Nobody could get that thing running cool to save their life. And one of the tricks that I do is I put 4 holes in the thermostat housing, in the thermostat itself.
Yeah.
Then again, people don't realize you got to make sure all your essentials is right, especially the timing. His timing was way off, this and that. So I put the 4 holes, and he said, I haven't been able to drive this car like this for years. This car was always 220, 230.
And you probably went like 1/4-inch holes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's an old... That was an old racer's trick. Yeah, guys first started doing that to prevent, in case the thermostat would jam shut. Now there was a fluid path to go through those holes, but it also does aid in cooling. I've heard that. I haven't tried it, but I'm glad you mentioned it, Tony.
Yeah, definitely works, man. Definitely works.
Nice.
And also in my vet, I have because guys, like you said, they take the thermostat out all the way.
Right.
In my vet, I bought Moroso makes a set of restrictors.
Right.
And I've got a red restrictor in my vet, and I actually have 2 fans, one pushing, one pulling, along with the fan on the belt. And again, I got a decent motor in it, and I could sit with the AC on a hot day, and she'll sit at like 180, 190. It'll take a while, but it'll get to 190.
Tony is definitely a suspenders and belts kind of guy, which I like. And I did follow his mantra last year on my own car, my car was running hot too. It wasn't overheating, but it was running to 210, 220, and it never did that before. So I made the switch to an electric fan. I went to a Spal brushless fan. And I know we covered that in previous shows, but that solved my problem right off the bat. I didn't want to have to go that way, but once I did it, and I know you would beat me over the head every time you saw me. No, man, go electric fan. and it works. It came with a shroud, and I'm just using a puller. I'm not using a push and pull, just a puller fan, which they do say, the experts do say pullers work better, more efficiently than pushers.
Right.
And it works. I mean, that problem solved. So everybody has to, you got to find what works. But talk to people, talk to guys, listen to a Dopey Car Show, see what they say. Talk to guys who have cars. At a cruise night, ask a guy, hey, how does your car run? What do you do to prevent it? Help me out here. Yeah. Guys will help you. Yeah.
No, that's for sure.
Well, I was at Belmore, this is a couple of years ago, and some people that I saw all weekly, they were having that problem. So I told them what to do. And one guy's like, nah, that doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. So they did it. And the next week, the guy's wife came running, hugging me. Oh, thank you so much. The car runs really nice now. So,
right.
Don't be afraid to try something.
My Vince just chimed in with something and said also, airflow. And you do have to have airflow. That's what you need more than anything is airflow. Right. But I'll tell you something. I thought of that, and I said, boy, my car with the grill that I have, I didn't change the airflow in my car, but yet the car ran hotter. So something else changed. Then I look at new cars. Look at how small the grills are on new cars. And I said, how the hell are they getting airflow? But they obviously do. So I don't know. That one is a mystery to me. I wish I can get an answer to that one. But cause then you look at some of the older cars, like Chris, you have a bigger grill, plenty of airflow. But Tony, it's all live and learn.
But I think Tony hit it on the head with the electric fans. I think that is the full control.
That made a big difference. For me, that was the game changer. Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff, man.
Right.
All right. Well, I figured I had to call in because, again, I do listen. I don't call a lot, but I was listening. I said, I got to give my little 2 cents here.
Yep. You're always welcome, Tony. You know that. You want to come back in the studio, just let me know. We'll get you back in.
Always a pleasure, Tony. You know that.
All right.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, Tony.
Be safe.
Bye-bye. All right. Excellent.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's funny you should mention about airflow. That was my next purchase was going to be a radiator shroud. For the I only have a 22-inch wide radiator. It's not a 26 because it's not an air-conditioned car.
Right.
So, but they do offer shrouds, but I think it's on later models. I want to find the factory one. I don't want to go and buy an aftermarket one. I want to find something from 71, 72.
You could always do a factory, a repro. They do sell them reproduction.
Yeah, that's fine too. That's fine too.
But I'll tell you what, all this cooling talk has gotten us hot and bothered, got us to the bottom of the hour. So let's take care of our stuff down here. I wanted to, let's, you mentioned how nice it was out there today.
Yes.
So how about this? Why don't we kick it off with the
weather? Well, right now for Toronto, Hamilton, and all the cottage country, except the stream north, we're going to have skies that'll be as clear as a bell. And if I'm wrong, I bet you come in here and wring my neck tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, that's what happens when you give the wrong weather report. But I will tell you that our weather is, our WHBC weather forecast is powered by Pantano's Gourmet, who always gives us the right information with locations in Uniondale. Today, like Chris said, partly cloudy. I didn't see many clouds at all. It was beautiful. Overcast this afternoon, high near 80. They said there may be some afternoon showers and into tonight. Rain showers possible. It becomes steadier overnight, low is 69 down here on the island, which is nice. Tomorrow, shower in the morning, then partly cloudy, back up to 81. So, also, I should say that we have this app contest going on here. If you download and or update your WHPC app and enter to win a $200 gift card to Uncle Bacala's Italian Seafood and more. I love Uncle Bacala's. Located at 2370 Jericho Turnpike in Garden City Park. Download and update your WHPC app now. It's in the Play Store and the Apple Place too. And thank you for listening to 90.3 WHPC. Does that give us, do we have the chance, could we possibly have an honor group of the hour?
I think we do. But before we get to that, of course, on Car Course Media, where we are airing some of the older Motormouth radio shows, you will find this week. It'll be, let's see, it's going to be You and I with Dennis Quintoni and John Careccia from East Neck Auto. When John was on for the first time back in 2009. And of course, we are on back in 2014 with Miss Tina Whitelaw. She was the VP for Easy Care and APCO. So that was an interesting. These are firsts for guests this week. But of course, You and I on Halloween 2021, which was a very good show. So those are what's on Car Course Media. So you can check it out at carcoursemedia.com. But anyway, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour this week, we honor those who conduct all serious family business in the garage. Your kid can't decide whether to pursue wilderness medicine or advanced pottery? Let's talk it over in the garage. Your wife wants to redo the bathroom, or worse, turn your garage into an exercise room. That definitely requires an emergency meeting in the garage. And when somebody finally asks, hey, what are we going to do with Grandma? Well, grab some folding chairs because apparently the whole family is going to meet in the garage. We may even move her into the garage. So if your garage is for storing holiday decorations and sometimes working on family vehicles, but mostly making those important family decisions, then you are part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour this week.
Wow, very good. All right, so let's take our break. We'll be back with more Motormouth Radio right here on 90.3 WHPC.
Pushing too hard, or pushing on me. You're pushing too hard, or what you want me to be.
Your car not running right? Let the Motormounts help you out at 516-572-7440.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar Lifetime Nationwide Warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Every night it's all right.
Hey, Mothers.
Every night it's all right.
What's all right?
Oh, you are, honey, when you hang out with me in Wayne, New Jersey on Route 23.
Take it, Mo.
Monday nights, come home to Mother.
With the great danceable rock and roll of home.
Tuesday night, I'll bring out the animal in ya.
It's Zebra.
Wednesday, I'll save you from the rock and roll blues.
With the band Sinners and free admission.
Thursday nights, Mother's goes to the country.
With New Jersey's #1 country rock band, Kinderhook.
Friday and Saturday, there's rock and roll in both rooms at Mother's.
And Sunday, Super Greaser presents your favorite oldies.
Every night of the week, I got what you seek.
It's Mother's Route 23 in Wayne, New Jersey, just 20 minutes from the George Washington Bridge, 2 miles north of the Willowbrook Shopping Center.
Remember, honey, there are no others. Make it to Mother's.
Mother's is now 100% rock and roll every Friday and Saturday night, featuring Thor and Oak and Angel Face.
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motormouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
Yeah, you might learn where there's a good nightclub, someplace you can get some entertainment, right?
I want to go see Kinderhook at Mother's.
Kinderhook was a staple at Mother's down on Route 23 in Jersey. Yeah.
Holy smokes. I haven't heard that name.
Hey, you could, but make sure you have your WPLJ air card when you go there.
Oh, dude, you have one too. I got to find mine. I got it. I still have my PLJ card.
If you're listening to Nassau County's
Yeah, WLIR. I noticed the T-shirt.
So you have your WLIR air card too, because it'll get
wow,
you prizes and maybe a cheap admission. I don't know.
This is why you have to watch this show on YouTube. It's these little confections that Ray brings in and plays and shows off on a regular basis. I have to say, I admit defeat. I always thought that, I would always say to Ray, it's not a visual medium, Ray. Stop bringing in props to a radio show. But you know what? Technology made it the way it is right now. And now Ray is in his glory. Now he can bring in props. It's just a matter of watching it on YouTube later on today.
Old air checks.
I love them. You know me.
you do.
It is. And I told you, my daughter calls it slap-worthy interests.
I know. Now, you know what? I've always been an interested. This week, I just had the urge to do a little searching, do a little bit of web searching, and I did. And then I had, of course, take this stuff, drag it out into an editing program. And I suppose one day I just sat there and just played for a couple hours and said, I think I could use this stuff on the show. I think I could work it in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally blew me away right there.
Oh, well, there's going to be more. Don't worry.
Kinderhook.
Yeah.
I haven't heard Kinderhook, and I can't tell you how long.
All right, so chicken hook, Kinderhook. Let me tell you something. I want to tell you about
Tell me.
A brake procedure. I was fighting with the Fiat again. I did. I had a crappy brake pedal, and that car is one of those cars.
When you say crappy, what was it? Going down to the floor, too hard, too soft, too mushy, too plummy? What was it?
Well, with the current car I have and the one that I had back in the 80s, I was never happy with the brake pedal. I'm very brake pedal centric, and it just was never really. I like a high, firm pedal on those cars, and it always had too much play in it, and the car would stop. And then through the years, I found by reading forums and other places, all owners complain about the same thing. Everybody hates the brake system.
So it's almost like a design flaw in the car itself.
I do believe so. So recently, now my car was okay, but and it was, you get used to it. You know what it is. All your cars are different, but they all had, that's like kids.
Right.
So just to recap real quickly, about a couple of months ago, I was with Kilowatt Kevin. We're going out to a Corvette meet, and the Fiat started slowing down on me in traffic. The front right caliper was binding.
Was grabbing.
So what I did was, fast forward again, I bought 2 new front calipers. I bought all new braided stainless steel hoses, which I always wanted to put on that car. I thought maybe the hose is not expanding as much will give me a firmer pedal. And I had bought a new master cylinder. So I put those in, just the front calipers, hoses, and master. I did it at the shop, and it was getting toward the end of the day. I didn't feel like staying later. So I bled the brakes, and I got out of there. And on the way home, wow, the pedal was terrible. I mean, way down to the point where my foot bent and was hurting my Achilles tendon. I'm like, this sucks.
Too much travel.
So I did a subsequent bleed at home, took it out. No. And I did a bleed a number of different ways. I used my suction tool, my regular, the cheapy suction tool, which works great, the Mighty Vac. Yeah. And then I actually followed it with a hose with a one-way valve. So you press the brake pedal, you open the bleeder, press the brake pedal, the fluid comes out. When you release the pedal, the fluid comes up and air can't come back in because it's a one-way valve. So
right.
Or all 4 wheels with that.
Okay.
And
sounds like you're covering your bases here.
And I still wasn't happy. Now, let me preface this with saying there's many cars I've worked on that just don't like having their brakes bled. That's why when this car was together, I would leave it. I never screwed with the hydraulics, only to suck out the fluid out of the reservoir and then replace it, to get the old stuff out. Otherwise, I leave it alone. Well, now I was in the middle of it. So now I saw I had fluid. I saw a fluid leak from the left rear wheel. I wasn't sure if it was the bleeder valve or the caliper, so I ordered 2 new calipers for the back. I said, you know what? I did the front. Let me do the back.
Yeah.
Put the hoses on, did all that, and now still did the bleed procedure and wasn't happy. So I have a pressure bleeder that I recently bought, and that, to me, is the gold standard for brake bleeding. You basically have a reservoir of fluid. It's in a big container. I can show you what it looks like, and I'll put these pictures up so people can see it.
Right, a pressure bleeder. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So you see the thing on top.
Looks like an espresso maker.
So the stem on top is with this one, you have to actually pump it. You pump the chamber to pressurize the chamber over the fluid.
Right. You're making your own pressure with the pump.
Right. Now, typically what you do is most cars use something like this, if I can get a piece of paper that I can show you. You have to take the cap off your master cylinder or the reservoir.
Right.
And typically, you'd put on a cap, a thing like this.
Okay.
So this-
It just looks like a regular cap with
Yeah.
with some sort of valve stem at the center of it.
Right.
Now, does that screw on?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's threaded on the female side,
Right.
and this adapter here goes into a hose that goes into that pressure bleeder.
Okay.
So when you pressurize the tank, the hose from that goes into this, which now this is attached to the master cylinder reservoir.
Right. So you're applying pressure within the master cylinder.
So you're putting positive pressure down into the reservoir.
Right.
All you have to do is open anything in the line.
Simply open the line.
Crack a bleeder valve. You're going to see
it's going everywhere.
So, of course, you want to have a hose into a container. You want to have containment.
Control that.
Well, the kit of these that I bought, which had like 12 different kit things, didn't have one to fit the Fiat. So, which I'm not surprised. It's, some of the foreign cars are odd, and this is an older one.
Right.
So I found online this universal tool, the one I described to you earlier, Chris.
More description.
Here it is.
Ooh, that looks like some sort of cork remover for some sort.
So, well, it's really it's nicely made.
That looks like it'll you can put that on top of a wine bottle.
All right, so these arms open up.
Right.
They open up and close, and those forked ends right there. Those little
that's quite a forked end, if you ask me.
They're going to close around the bottom of the spout of the reservoir.
Right, and that looks like a plunger.
Okay, the plunger that will accommodate a 28 to 55 millimeter opening.
That's quite a plunger.
Quite an opening of the master cylinder. And then once that's down tight, and it has to be tight,
right,
another hose goes in. This is where the hose goes from
at the top of it.
Right. And then
it looks a little Rube Goldberg. Does it work?
Well, yeah, that's a universal. That's actually a universal tool set.
I was thinking of something.
There it is on the master cylinder reservoir. So now you see how it attaches.
Doing its job. I was thinking something along the lines of like a clampable hose, like flexible, where you would tie it down with the standard hose clamp around the threads. But I guess
no, that's what this does.
Right.
That's.
I was thinking of a less engineered sort of way.
This one threads on. Well, okay, I did find out. I have used a pressure bleeder on other cars. If that cap or this adapter is not on that reservoir, tight and sealing, as soon as you pressurize it,
you'll know it.
And I did know it because I had brake fluid flowing down the inside of the car onto the driveway.
That's lovely.
Now I tightened that to where I felt it was tight, snug. I didn't want. I'm dealing with a plastic reservoir that's like 40 years old.
And you're putting a lot of pressure on it.
So I had to crank the knob. I had to crank that down more to put more pressure on that the tapered adapter,
which is putting pressure on those forks that are pushing up.
But once I once I hit the right spot, and I did it with the fluid going in, so I could see the leak. And as I tightened it, I just waited till the leak stopped.
Right.
Now I was good. And then I was able to pressure bleed the brakes. And on my test drive yesterday, I have a much improved pedal. It's not what I would consider perfect. It's not what I would want if I could ask for something, but it's acceptable. And I know that it's air free. So basically, you have to sometimes say, this is the best the system is going to be.
Did you take into consideration the master cylinder through all this?
Well, that was one of the things the other night on Thursday night playing traffic. I was talking with Brian, and he was telling me that a lot of the early Audis and Volkswagens had a problem. He said they did a car in the dealership, in the Audi dealership, Porsche Audi. And the guy would say, you got to fix my brakes. My brake pedal is low. It's spongy. Well, what was the last thing you did to your brakes, sir? What's going on? I just had my brakes done at another shop. And they said, okay. And they knew exactly what to do. On those cars, he claims, it was the rear calipers and the puck that comes out to move the pad. They screwed in and out.
Okay.
On my Fiat, they come out under hydraulic pressure. They don't screw in and out. But what Brian said that you had to do was do a mechanical screw that puck out a bit to kind of preload the pad to take,
Right.
otherwise it was too big of a gap. The pads had to go too far. You can actually do it sometimes by working the emergency brake cable like 1,000 times. Let it
yeah.
but you can go in there manually. And he said Audi gave him a spec. There was a space spec they could use with a feeler gauge to
Like
see
like a matchbook.
right what the minimum thickness was. And you set it to that. He goes, you get in the car, you make sure you bleed, you don't have any air, and then you have a good brake pedal. So he got me thinking, wow, maybe that's the problem. So I looked at my old calipers I had on a bench, and I said, no, they don't screw out. They come out under pressure, so that wouldn't be the issue. But I did work that part. I did another adjustment, work the parking brake cable about 100 times, because that will bring. No, that's what I did get now, an acceptable pedal.
Oh, okay. Because I'm curious to this, because the truck is the same way. I have an acceptable pedal. I like the way you put that. And when I pulled its rear drum front disc, when I pull the drums off, they're at the highest spot they can go. Before, I mean, you can barely get the drum back on, and unfortunately, there's no adjustment hole on the drum or on the plate. So they're doing it. Of course, General Motors in this inimitable way is cheating, whereupon you have to adjust the brakes, then put the drum back on it. When at one time you could adjust the brakes with the drum intact, with the drum attached, so you can get your
you don't have a hole in the drum?
No hole in the drum, no hole in the plate. So, and mind you, it was barely able to get that drum off. So, and I looked, the brakes looked fairly new.
Right.
So hanging that drum back on, I figured, well, that's not the problem. And I went for the front calipers, and I greased the rails and put it back together again, and I still have the same exact pedal. So I'm thinking, like you say, that's why I'm wondering how's your master cylinder, because I'm wondering how my master cylinder is.
Like I said, that was after talking to Brian, it made me think of Mikey T. And I said, what was the last thing I did?
What was the last thing you touched?
And when I was in the shop and I put the front calipers and hoses and master on, that's when I had the bad pedal.
Right.
I thought it was because I didn't do a thorough enough bleeding. And I thought, well, maybe what I should do is swap out the master cylinder again, put the other master in.
Was there anything wrong with the master cylinder? You pulled it out?
I bought it a couple of years ago, and I left it in the trunk of the car because for some reason, I know it was a couple of years ago, I was just poking around in the car, and I just something told me, you know what, maybe I should change this master. I don't know what I saw that made me do that. So I bought it. I said, okay, when I need it, I have it. And so I did. And I bought a brand new master cylinder. And it's just a log. It really is it's a cast iron log. It's a very simplest little thing in the world. It's unbelievable.
Right, with a reservoir on top of it.
No, the reservoir mounts on the firewall on my car.
Oh, wow, really?
2 hoses that go from the reservoir to the master.
Oh, even more of a point of failure.
Well, I mean, it works. I mean, instead of having a reservoir on top, now you have hoses. But I'll tell you, the hoses I took off were from Hunger. They had to be the original OEM hoses. And they use those. It's like the German hoses, the rubber hose with a basket weave material around them. So that kind of helps stop them from expanding. Now, these were a little hard. They didn't crack on me, but so I bought new ones. I bought new hoses.
Good.
And of course, if I'm in, I'm not going to put everything else new in and not do the new hoses.
Right, exactly. No, I totally get it. Yeah, I did the same thing with the Chrysler. I put new lines in it and put new hoses in it. It was one of those things. It's like, why put something that's 50 years old in your brake system? Yeah. So yeah, I totally get that. To me, that's the smart way of doing things. But yeah, I would be interested in looking at the master cylinder in that case.
Well, what I wanted to tell you was on the disc drum systems, it's typically the drum brake that sets the pedal height.
Correct.
And that's why, if you crank up the drums, like on Mike's Impala, Malazzi Impala, those drums are way up, man. They were up like it almost didn't want to roll. But that'll bring the pedal height up, not the disc side. Now, Joe D just commented in and said, oh yeah, the Chevy truck, they were known for funky brake pad material. So I don't know. I mean, we had discussions about this, Joe and I, in the past about brake pad material. There's actually numbers on the side of the brake pads. You can read them and decode them. But I don't think that's going to affect the pedal well, pedal height. So your problem isn't necessarily pedal height. It's actually pedal
Yes.
actuation.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the other thing. The other tool that I bought a couple of years ago. It's a gauge, and it will measure that you have the push rod that comes through your power brake booster,
Right.
and contacts the master cylinder and presses it when you work the foot pedal. There has to be a gap between that rod and the master, or else your brake sees up, and because fluid expands. But it has to be the right gap, and if it's too much of a gap, you have too big of a pedal range. So the tool you put, it's shaped like a letter H. You put the tool up against the master cylinder, unlock a little screw, slide the rod in. It's a depth gauge. It'll measure. You lock it. It'll measure how deep in where the master cylinder actually is, the end of the piston in the master. Then you take the other side, you take that and you turn it around and you put it on the booster.
Okay.
And if that rod is anywhere further back from the end of the center rod, the adjusting rod, any further back than like 20 30 thousandths, you need to adjust it. Now you need to adjust that rod to bring it into within 15 to 20 thousandths, the two rods should be. And then you're maximizing your brake pedal, So that's something I did do on the Fiat, and it was good. It checked out okay. I told you, I used to drive, when I had my first car, I used to drive it around. I didn't have the gauge. I brought a vernier caliper and a couple wrenches. I would drive around, the brakes didn't seize. I'd pull over to the side of the road, two 13-millimeter nuts, pull the master cylinder off, take the rod out, make it longer, use the vernier caliper, make it like 10 or 15 thousandths longer, put it in, bolt the master on, drive around some more. And I did that until I went too far and the car started slowing down on me like it did when I was with Kevin, indicating that the pressure had nowhere to go. I'd pull over. I knew I hit maximum. Then I just back that rod down. Like if I made a 15 thousandths adjustment, maybe I'd back it down 5. So it was only 10,000, and then drive it. And if the car was good, now I knew I was within the maximum rod length that I could have. And the car still didn't have a great pedal. So again, even with all the maximization, some cars are just going to be what they're going to be.
Yeah, it's funny because my dad's Seville that I ended up with, was the same way. The same exact way, and I did the same thing without the vernier caliper. What I would do is I would look at the threads and go, okay, 2 threads, 3 threads.
Oh, you can do it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I would extend that rod like 3 threads, 3 turns of the nut, and then it would start slowing down. I'd back down a turn or half a turn.
Well, here's something else. Many GM cars have 2 adjustments. They have an adjustment on the rod between the booster and the master, and there's an adjustment on the rod between the pedal and the booster.
Yes.
They have 2, so you have to look and see if you have that.
No, that's true. But I always feel that that's probably the last place I'm going to look, because that pedal is usually in where it's supposed to be. That's usually in this case, unless you were building the car yourself. That was usually, let's put it this way. I don't think I've ever adjusted that. I don't think I've ever adjusted it. I have the motorized pedals in the Explorer, and I don't think I've ever adjusted it.
Right.
It's that sort of thing.
No. Some cars you just leave and they're fine, and and they're okay, and that's how you drive them. I tell you, I've never been happy with the pedal on the Cruise either. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pressure bleed on that car. But that has ABS. So what I'll do first, I'll do the internal computer bleed.
Okay.
Through a scan tool. And that breaks up microbubbles. And then I'll follow up with a pressure bleed. Because I did find out after many years of not knowing, I said, how did the factory do it? They put see the cars coming down the assembly line, the chassis, and they dropped the button. Like, what was it, a guy out there bleed the brake? Hey, Charlie, pop. No, and I wondered, how did they bleed brakes on hundreds of cars each day? They had a mechanized pressure bleeder, and it swung over, it attached, they had a dedicated, fitting for the master cylinder.
Sure.
And then I guess a guy on the line did have to just open each bleeder valve one after the other until he had all the air out and fluid, and that sent it down the line, and that was it. So that's how they did it.
I'm sure it took a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
to get that something like that done. Oh yeah,
I mean,
you're looking at the same master cylinder on all those cars, of course.
Yeah. So with anything like this, the setup is always longer than the actual procedure.
Right.
Like in my case, I had to get all four wheels off the ground. So when I was doing the rear calipers, I drug out my jack and my 4 jack stands. I jacked the car up and had 4 jack stands. I said, I got those quick jacks in the garage that are hydraulic. I said, why don't I use those? So after I dropped it down and test drove it and saw that it was bad, I had to raise it again. I said, all right. So now I had to move the other car, drag the quick jacks out. I mean, I was sweating. My back, all of this just to lift the frame. Like I said, I could have driven down to the shop and used the lift. But I would have been driving with a subpar brake pedal, and I didn't want to do that.
No, I don't blame you. If you're lucky. Not that you're lucky you make it home. I can't say it that way, but you're lucky you make it home.
Yeah. No, I would have made it. I would have made it, but I didn't want it. I said, hey, you know what? So again, the setup time is usually more than the actual operation time. So when it was up, I made sure I did it a couple times. I got my money's worth. I was like, I'm going to bleed that. I put like a gallon of fluid through this damn thing. I'm like, I'm going to bleed you not till you dry. That would be bad.
No.
Bleed you until I'm tired of bleeding. And I did. So I'll put the pictures up. If you go to, of course, this show will be up on YouTube on Motormouth Radio and Motormouth Video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Also on Instagram, check real_Motormouth Radio, and on Facebook. And I'll put the pictures up of that bleed procedure and the tools that I used. And again, the pressure bleeder, they range, hundreds of dollars for the name ones. I actually bought one off of Amazon and I paid $39.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. I have a very similar story, just real fast. I've been looking for those Schrader valve air conditioning Schrader valve removal and replacement tools. And of course, every one of the tools I've ordered had the same size rod that would go to access the Schrader valve. So I had to find one with different size rods. Right. How hard is that? But unfortunately, it's incredibly hard. So I wanted to thank Brian for sending you, and of course, sending me the correct tool. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I saw that there were 2 or 3 different rods to get in there to yank out the Schrader valve. So I went on Amazon and went through all of them, and there was one tool that had 2 different Schrader valve diameter rods to go in there. So I ordered it. It's coming today. So
and that is the tool that Mike Jr. has that he used on my cars at work.
Right.
So.
And one of them was $100. The one that Brian recommended, this one was $30. So we'll see what happens.
Up wisely. All right. So what can you say that John says that everybody else used to say to me about the people I'm going to meet in the parking lot when I leave here today?
Don't follow us home unless you're wearing something flimsy.
All right, tune in next week, more Motormouth Radio. We may have a guest, but we will have some more old air checks. I can guarantee you that.
Nice.
All right, so for Chris Switzer, Ray Guarino, Motormouth Radio, over and out. We'll see you next week on 90.3 WHPC.
See you, bye. Thank you both for listening.